Following the testimony, the opening statement given by Dr. Blasey Ford in today's hearings, there were a number of reactions from Republican lawmakers that were fascinating and honestly unexpected given the partisan politics that play a role in this whole debacle. Now, there were Republicans who said, yeah, her testimony is absolutely credible. For example, there was Senator Richard Shelby from Alabama. Richard Shelby, the chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, called Christine Blasey Ford's testimony on Thursday credible. He said, quote, "I thought the prosecutor looked like she knew what she was doing. I don't know how it plays out. I said, let's see how this process works." Now, that was a statement specifically about the prosecutor in this case. But the prosecutor, by her own admission, by the way, was unable to poke any holes in Dr. Blasey Ford's testimony. Toward the end of the questioning, she made it clear that, it's these 5-minute intervals of questioning that make it very difficult for me to do what I'm supposed to do. And that was essentially an admission of failing to find any holes in the story that Blasey Ford was sharing with her. There was Orrin Hatch. So Orrin Hatch attempted to comment on how credible the testimony was. However, he used wording that some found controversial. When reporters asked Hatch to elaborate on what he meant by attractive and good witness, his aides essentially said attractive meant attractive testimony, not her physical appearance. He said she seems very sincere, but in terms about her and Kavanaugh, I don't really know any more other than she can't remember how she got there and how she left. And that's according to Lindsey Graham. That is not Orrin Hatch's comments.
To me, I know there's a controversy around Orrin Hatch calling her attractive and pleasing was his explanation of what he meant by attractive. And people are really upset about that because they think, especially for a sexual assault survivor, those are not the right words to use. To me, the more relevant part as to whether he found her believable or not is he said, I didn't find her uncredible.
Right.
So in other words, even Orrin Hatch, who when the hearings began, was the most vituperative against her and had said all the charges are phony. And when asked how he knew that, he said, I just know, okay? Comes out and says basically, yeah, she was credible. So again, the idea of questioning whether this happened to her is pretty much done at this point. Only kooks on Fox News and on social media are still talking about how she's lying or, in the words of one of them, a skank. Oy, right?
I know.
But the Republicans in Kavanaugh have said, no mas. We don't dispute this happened to her.
Exactly, and so there was also an interesting thing that happened with Senator Lindsey Graham following Dr. Blasey Ford's testimony. This is when they finally went to recess, and so Lindsey Graham was approached by reporters, and he seemed to belittle her testimony. He seemed to say that he didn't really believe her. Now, let me give you one of those quotes. Unless something new comes forward, you have just an emotional accusation and an emotional denial without corroboration. And then he was approached by someone who identified herself as a rape victim. And according to reporters, this woman just told Lindsey Graham that she was raped. He said as he headed into an elevator, "I'm sorry, tell the cops."
That does not seem like a particularly caring response. For God's sake, take a minute to just, give a proper response and then move on. But Lindsey Graham full of a lot of anger today, as he just showed later in the testimony. But Kavanaugh's testimony is a different question. But Blasey Ford's testimony was pretty much as good as her supporters could have asked for in terms of making her case, and watching her and hearing her makes a huge difference. It's way more effective than seeing it in cold print in front of you. It's one thing to see the quotes, it's another thing to see and connect to a human being telling a story. And it was so powerful, it broke through even to the Republicans. Now, they might not vote in the right direction anyway. They might vote for Kavanaugh, even if they believed her. And I guess they're gonna hang their hat on, yeah, she's definitely telling the truth about everything except that it was Kavanaugh. But overall, she was an excellent witness. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.